Video games take a lot of time and effort to develop. Despite the long development times, developers still take the time to add in little details to make the world feel truly immersive. These little details can be easily missed or overlooked. And that's why I want to talk about 7 satisfying environmental details in games. But first, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Let's get into this. Starting this list off is one of the most satisfying things in gaming to me. Have you ever walked in a snow or desert biome and noticed the footsteps left behind? Well, I have, and in fact I latch onto it every time I see it. This is one of those little details in games that every time I see it, I just can't help but latch onto. It is an easily overlooked detail, but I can't help but loving the mechanic. I always find myself walking in circles just to see the footprints that are left behind. In 2020, Destiny 2 added a planet called Europa, and they bragged about their deep snow physics in interviews. To their benefit, the way the snow worked was very good, but unfortunately there was only one small location that was far away from everything where this was actually implemented. This left me disappointed, but that one area was really fun exclusively because of the snow physics and the footprints that were left behind in the snow. But this mechanic gets even better when the developers take into account the pattern on the character's shoe and implement that into the footprint. Kingdom Hearts 2 had such good attention to detail that they showed the pattern of Sora's shoe when he's walking. This was a PlayStation 2 game from an era of terrible graphics, and even back then they paid attention to the pattern of his shoe and went as far as to recreate that design in the footprint. Now it's mostly just like a sticker texture that gets placed over the ground as he walks, but for the PS2 era, this was still really good implementation of this. Especially because this attention to detail is not necessary. Most people don't even notice it, but I love it, and I think it's always incredible when it is added into the games. In fact, Elden Ring Night Rain just came out recently, and my friends and I, when we were playing, realized in the final boss arena, which is a giant sand area, that you could see the footprints of your character, and it was very dynamic. If you walked, they wouldn't really show up at all. If you ran, they would show up. If you sprinted, they would show up even deeper. And if you jumped, they would have the deepest pattern based on how your character was moving. This was really, really cool, and we genuinely spent like 3 minutes running around in circles, just checking out the difference between Iron Eye and his boots, Executor and his iron armor, and Guardian with his bird feet, and just noticing the difference in the patterns and how well designed they were. Now, Night Rain is a port from Elden Ring, so it's probably the same mechanic that they had in that one that they just ported over, but even so, it was a really cool attention to detail that I only noticed when we were at the final boss arena, because the whole place is sand and nowhere else is really like that. But it's always such a small detail that I just fall in love with every time I see it. It's such a fun detail to latch onto, and I hope they never stop adding footprints into games. Moving on to number 2, and sticking to another physics-based feature, we have cloth physics. It is always such an incredible feeling when the clothing of the character moves appropriately for when the character walks, runs, jumps, and sprints. Seeing the cloth move accurately based on the speed of the character is just such a great feeling. This feature is one of the strongest contributors to immersion for me in gaming. Footprints can be easily missed because they trail behind you when you walk, but cloth physics are a lot harder to overlook due to the fact that they are what you are staring at on your character as the character moves around. Obviously, in an FPS game, cloth physics are a lot easier to miss, and you probably won't even notice when they are actually there. But when it comes to a third-person game, the physics of the cloth not moving can ruin the feeling of the game. There's nothing weirder than watching a character climb a building and their coat stiffly stay in the exact same position the entire way up. A really, really big example of this is in Skyrim. In vanilla Skyrim, a lot of the characters wear robes or armor with cloth flowing off of it, and the cloth stays perfectly still. It doesn't move at all as the characters run around. Like, yes, you are in first person for the majority of the game, but you can also play in third person, and a lot of the characters and NPCs you interact with are also wearing these types of similar clothing, but none of their clothes move. It's actually something that modders have added into the game, is just cloth physics, because it helps the game feel more immersive. Like genuinely, it's a small thing, but it breaks my immersion like crazy. And when a game goes so far as to add in the physics and make them pretty accurate, it just makes my brain stem out. In Final Fantasy XV, Noctis, the main character, wears a loose jacket and some pants that have drawstrings on the front and straps hanging off the sides. When he walks, everything shifts to show his movement, but it moves gently to show that there's not a lot of momentum there. When Noctis runs, the jacket blows back and the straps on his pants whip around in the wind to show the speed of his movement. These aren't important details, but I appreciate them being there because they really sell to me the speed that this character is moving at. And I just can't help but to appreciate the physics of the clothing. Moving on to number 3, let's talk about audio. Audio plays a very important role in games, as sound design is arguably the strongest contributor to being immersed in a game. When you shoot a gun or swing a sword, the sound design, along with the animation, is what truly makes the weapon feel satisfying. One of the easily overlooked audio cues, however, is the way that you interact with the ground beneath you. Whether it be the crunch of grass, the squish of mud, or the click on stone, audio is what sells those textures. In Remnant 2, there is a hub area called the Ward. In the Ward, there is an area in front of a giant red crystal that lets you travel from location to location. The crystal is surrounded by a makeshift platform that was put together with scrap materials that they had lying around. Wooden planks, metal sheets, and chain link fences were used to create this platform. What truly sells the idea of these random pieces of material is the audio designed for each type of material. The wood gives a thud, the metal gives a clang, and the chain link gives a rattle. The pieces are so close together that they can be easily missed, and most people would not have cared if it was just designed with one audio sound for the whole platform. Despite that, the developers took the time to give care to the details. This is such an easy thing to miss, but I was always so obsessed with it. I had a habit of rolling on the chain link fence part over and over and over again because I found the rattle of the chains so satisfying, and I just couldn't help myself but to keep triggering that audio cue. Genuinely, I think, crazy enough, that was probably my favorite part of Remnant 2, was just rolling around on that chain link fence and hearing how good that audio design was. And that's how they treated every part of the game. Whether it be a fantasy location or a sci-fi location, if you walked around on a piece of material, that material had an audio cue that was individually designed for that type of material. And truly, that's what sold the world for me. For number 4, keeping that momentum going, we have the animations in games. Animations are a very broad topic, but we're going to get very specific with it. There are all kinds of animations that happen in the background. Not ones that you interact with constantly, but ones that you are very, very likely to miss. In Red Dead Redemption 2, the NPCs in the world eat food. Now I understand that that is a normal thing in games, but RDR2 is built different. In Red Dead Redemption 2, the NPCs have animations where they eat their food one bite at a time until their entire meal is gone, the way that a person would eat in the real world. This is a big deal, because in most games, NPCs would just eat the same bite over and over and over again without actually consuming their food. Like, it would just respawn the exact same way it was built the first time. It's just a looped animation without feeling any true progression in it. And I mean, that's pretty fair because, again, it's not a very important detail. That has nothing to do with the core gameplay or the story of the world. But it's still a very small detail that makes the world feel better. Even though it's easy to miss, I truly appreciate the details, because Rockstar wanted their world to feel alive down to the point of NPCs eating a full meal and not just taking small bites over and over again of the exact same piece of food. These animations aren't perfect, but they're still refreshing. It will be truly interesting to see what Rockstar cooks up for animations when it comes to GTA 6. For number 5, another very satisfying detail in games is the way that foliage reacts. The way trees, bushes, and grass are designed is a very big contributor on whether or not the world feels real. But to me, the largest contributor is how the trees move. In Ghost of Tsushima, trees are scattered throughout the land. That's not special, all games have trees, but some of these trees have a very beautiful feature. Some of the trees have falling leaves. It is a little detail, but it truly builds the atmosphere. The leaves fall from the tree gently and land on the ground, where the leaves scatter all across the land. As you walk, the leaves scatter from where your feet make impact with the ground. It is an easily overlooked detail, and any developer could have just left the leaves as part of the ground texture with no physics. But this is Sucker Punch Studios. They only make the best. For those of you who don't know, Sucker Punch made the Infamous series and the Sly Cooper series for the PlayStation. These developers only give worlds that feel amazing to be a part of. With Ghost of Yotei, the next game in the series, coming out later this year, I can only imagine the atmosphere will become that much more immersive. Coming in at number 6, we have Horizon locations. Have you ever played a game and noticed an interesting location off in the distance, like say a castle or a mountain, that looks like it's just part of the sky, and thought, hey, I want to go visit this interesting location. And if you follow that curiosity and you chase down this location, and you can actually visit the location and explore it, that is what I am talking about. That feeling of being rewarded with the curiosity and exploration of what you see off in the distance truly being there. Map design is a huge contributor when it comes to making a world feel alive. Oftentimes, a game will show you something interesting off in the distance, but as you start to approach that object, an invisible barrier blocks your path, showing you that though you were curious to see what this interesting design was, it's not real. It's merely a set piece blocked that you can't get to. Meaning that cool castle or looming mountain is probably just a PNG. This makes it particularly immersive and incredible when a game lets you visit those locations. In Elden Ring, you will often see some interesting piece of architecture or environment off in the distance. If you chase that sense of wonder to the destination, you are always rewarded with something more interesting than you imagined. Near the start of the game, as you exit Stormvale Castle, you end up on the lake-facing cliff. This cliff allows you to look over the entire lake region ahead of you. Standing in the middle is a massive academy sitting on top of a mountain. If you chase your sense of wonder, the destination is reachable, and every step gets you closer to the location. Once you reach it, it looms above you as a massive academy. If you were to look back, off in the distance, you would see that same cliff where you stood when you saw this academy. The entire game works this way. It lets your eyes and desire for discovery reward you for your curiosity. Meanwhile, the world stays sculpted the same, so you can always look back and see how far you have come. Finally, at number 7, one of the ways to truly sell a realistic world is with weather and day-night cycles. These are two separate things technically, but I'm going to lump them in as one group. While not necessarily small details as they're pretty in your face, I feel it is ones that we often take for granted. We're so used to seeing them in games that we tend to overlook them. Day and night cycles often change the way that we experience the world, going so far as to change the visuals, audio, atmosphere, and even sometimes the gameplay mechanics themselves. During the day, it is easy to see the world crafted for you. Birds may chirp, or streets might be full of people. The world feels alive and ready for adventure. During the night, the world is dark, requiring torches or flashlights to travel. The world may be silent, or the streets may bustle with traffic. The night can make a beautiful world spooky, or a busy world peaceful. Weather in games has a similar effect. Clear skies can feel adventurous. Fog can create anxiety. Snow can provoke joy or panic. Rain can cause peace, sorrow, fear, coziness, or drama. Different weathers create different atmospheres depending on the setting. The sound design often helps sell the emotion being provoked, Everyone has had a dark night where a thunderstorm roars outside and they can't help but to feel scared. But everyone has also had a day where they have nothing to do but enjoy the rain outside from the coziness of their home. These emotions are often pulled upon whenever a game uses weather and settings to create an immersive atmosphere. Sometimes, all you want to do is sit in a chair and enjoy the weather around you. But that's going to be it from me, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.